Alright, guys. I realized I hadn't given my testimony yet. So, I've been wanting to give it at church, but I thought it would take a long time and I didn't want to make people stay there. But the past couple of weeks, the pastor's been preaching about stuff and, it's made me think it was a good time. So, I'm going to keep it as, kind of short and sweet as possible, but still try to give you the information. So, from the side, I'm a recovering drug addict. Once you're a drug addict, you're always going to be a recovering drug addict. This is Big Mama right here. She comes and hops in the truck every day when I get home. She's a sweetheart. But so when I was a kid, I was a bad kid, real bad. But my mom was always my best friend. My dad and I, we always butted heads. And once I graduated high school, I started working immediately. And I moved to Lexington, Kentucky. My parents eventually moved down there to be closer to me and my sister. But all I wanted to do was make enough money to take care of my parents because they had taken care of me my whole life. Not long after I graduated, my dad had his first and second heart attack, so he couldn't work no more. And so when they moved to Lexington, my mom started working. We would go to UK games together. I would go pick her up for lunch, take her out to eat, and all that. Her and I were best friends. She was 16 years old when she had me, so she was young. So once I got older, well, we kind of had a lot in common. And, my dad was fairly young, too. He was 20 when he had me. But I guess we're so much alike that we butted heads a lot. So, anyway, when I was, 21, my mom was 38. I may have been 22. I get a call that my mom passed out and went to the hospital. And, they said they didn't know what was wrong. Maybe she was exhausted, so she went home. And like I said, she was young, always healthy, never did drugs or anything like that. So I went over and visited her. I'd bought a new dog, sat with her. She said her back was hurting and her head was still hurting, but she had to work that night. She invited me to come over, see her at work, but I didn't want to keep aggravating her at work because honestly, I went over there all the time and seen her. Like I said, we was best friends, so I did, and I knew she wasn't feeling good and had enough going on than to deal with me interrupting her at work. So later that night, I get a call from my dad because cell phones wasn't around then that my mom had passed out again. They had to call the ambulance. She was in the hospital. So when I got to the hospital, the doctor came out and told me that this may very well take my mom's life. Man, that hit me hard. I never believed it. I threw up. I went outside and started throwing up. I don't think I cried at all. But luckily, when she passed out that first time, she knew something was wrong. And we'd always been Christians, but she got her life right with the Lord. She also called my sister and asked her to pray for her. So I believe that my mom is in heaven. She passed away. She had a brain aneurysm at age 38, just like me and you talking right now. We're here. Tomorrow, she was gone. That really bothered me. I started drinking very heavily after that. I started driving a lot of people away with the drinking. I drank and I trained. I was taking Kempo and Taekwondo, two different styles, and that's all I did. I went to the gym and lifted weights. That's all I did. Till eventually, I went out one night, drank so much, and I took some pills. When I pulled out from the bar, I blew out both right side tires. And then just because I was so stupid, there was a cop that had one of the servers at the bar I was at pulled over. I thought it was a good idea just to drive by them on two blown out tires, and they'd never notice. They did notice. They got in their car and come after me. So I pulled in to a place to this day. I don't know where it was at, but opened the door, got out, and took off and running. I ran into about a 7-foot high wooden fence, and they grabbed me, pulled guns, put their knees on my back, and the cop was nice enough not to charge me with a felony fleeing and evading, but I did get a fleeing and evading charge. I was too drunk and I was running, so I couldn't get the insurance in the car, so they hit me with a no insurance, and they hit me with a first offense, DUI, DWI, whatever. So that was right around Thanksgiving, and they kept me in jail for 2 weeks, 14 days for that. That was the beginning of everything. When that happened, the girl I was with, she left me. I wasn't allowed to go back home anymore. And so I went back to where I grew up to stay with my dad. And I got back with my high school sweetheart. At that point, I'd never really seen an Oxycontin in my life. When I seen her, she was skinny, but man, I thought she looked great. I had no idea she was on drugs bad. We ended up, starting to spend time together, hanging out, making out, and I invited her to move back to Lexington with me. I had no idea that she was an addict like she was, but she kept asking me, could I find her pills? And I was like, I don't know any old people. I have no idea where to get pills. I had no idea that other people had pills. I thought it was just like, if you was old and sick and hurt, that's the people that had pills. I was ignorant to it all, and I think there's probably a lot of people out there that don't understand it. Maybe people understand it more now because of the epidemic, but back then I didn't know. I drank, maybe smoked a little weed here and there, but I didn't know anything about pills. So I started asking around and got a job at a restaurant as a bar and grill, and finally I asked the right person and found her some. Started getting it for her. Remember, I'm like 22 at this point, and she would do them. I didn't really do them. I'd still drink. Eventually, I started doing them. So keep it as short as possible. I started doing them, and started then, and did them for many, many, many years. We ended up basically losing everything we had down there because all of our money was going to pills instead of paying bills, and so we ended up moving back home staying with her parents, and she talked me into moving down here to North Carolina, which is where I'm at now. And I guess I was like 23, 24 when we moved down here. Still doing pills, but now we're in a whole new place. We got to find new people, new places to get them, but we managed to do it. I guess if you look, you'll find what you're looking for. So we did them, and finally, we both got jobs in the granite countertops industry, and that's very physical work. I was in a car wreck when I was 15, and it messed up my arm real bad. The bone sticks out and stuff, and it gives me a lot of pain. But once I got in the granite industry, I started having back issues also. So eventually, I went to a doctor, and I was prescribed pain medicine. It started out hydrocodone 5s. And, then it went to Percocet 10s, then oxycodone, Roxy's 15s, and then at the end I was getting the Roxy 20 milligrams. I was prescribed 6 of those a day. That was 120 milligrams a day. That was I would get a month supply, 180. Those would be gone in about 2 weeks, if I was lucky. And I know for y'all that sounds like a lot. To me now it sounds like a lot, but then it's like, man, I could have had 500 in that month and they wouldn't last me because I'd have just kept doing more. During all this time, I never missed a day of work. Even if I didn't have dope, I'd call around, try to find something. Sometimes you just can't. I would limp my butt to work, and I was about 20% of what I was on a good day, but I'd still go. it affected the relationship between me and my ex at home also. We didn't really get along, but let me tell you, the day I got my script, she was my best friend, and she wanted to hang out that night, and for a good week and a half, we had a great, every night was great, you know what I mean? But after that was over, all the rest of the time was as bad as you could imagine. So we ended up, this ain't about her, but anyways, we ended up getting a divorce. I wasn't happy living like that, and I knew life had to be better, so we ended up getting a divorce, and I ended up getting with the girl I'm with now, and man, I just decided I didn't want to live like that no more, so I went to my doctor, and I told her that I got a problem with these. I feel like I'm living in a haze, and I'm going to try to go to one of these methadone clinics and see if I can get off of this stuff. So that's what I did. I didn't get kicked out of my doctor's office. I didn't fail drug tests and lose my script. I personally went because I knew I had a problem and spoke with my doctor, and I went to a clinic. The clinics are expensive. You're looking at, I think it's about $16 a day. So it adds up. Plus you got to go there every day when you start. Eventually you can work your way to go there not as much. But it's a lot of money, and it seems like that's all you can afford. So I hated going to the clinic. So I went to my doctor and asked her, could she write me the methadone? Well, she said she could, but she couldn't write me as much as the clinic was giving me, okay? I think I was taking like 60 or 70 milligrams at the clinic. My doctor said she was only comfortable with writing me 40 milligrams a day. So I was like, heck with it, I'll try it, because it was costing me $20 a month versus like, over $400 a month. But I got sick, it just wasn't enough for me, and I ended up going back to the clinic. But I did find a different clinic that's a lot better than the one I was going to, so that helped. So I was going to the clinic, but, still it's like, on the weekends, I might slip up and do something. I was doing a lot better than I was, but, I was also still doing stuff that I shouldn't do. But it was scary now because I had that methadone in me, and I was taking medicine on top of it. The girl I was with, she went to the clinic for a while too, and we just kept working on that. Well, when you're an addict, it's a struggle. It's an everyday battle. And then if something goes bad in your life, you always turn to that drug to make it not bad anymore, to make your day better. And it will for that day, or if you get 3 days worth for those 3 days. But even if you're going to a clinic after those 3 days are over, you're going to be sick. You might not be as sick as you were, like laying on the couch, running to the bathroom every 10 minutes, legs aching, you can't do anything. But you're still not going to feel good. Well, we worked and worked and worked on our problems, and the time when we would mess up and get high started getting less and less. We'd spend more and more time sober. Now bear in mind, all this time I still felt like I was 100% a Christian, even though I was getting high, even though man, I cuss like a sailor. I now own a granite shop. So my current wife and I think we were together, I don't know, 3 or 4 years before I opened my own granite shop. And you know, that's really when we started buckling down and just not doing those meds. Just, you know, going to the clinic, taking what we were supposed to take, and you know, trying to live right. And we started doing really good on the meds. And I remember back when I was doing all that stuff, I still consider myself a Christian. Like I said, I was cussing all the time, you know, just not living right. Angry all the time, stressed all the time. Anger was a real big thing for me. So like I said, I opened my own granite business. It was something I'd always wanted to do. It was very hard, very stressful, but you got to have a clear head to do something like that. And you know, that's when we really started doing right. Don't get me wrong, it's still an everyday battle. You know, things go wrong with the business. You want to go get high, and we did slip up every now and again. But even though we was doing, you know, as right as we could, I was still cussing. Every word out of my mouth was a cuss word. Still had the anger. I guess I was probably pretty prideful. Just all around not living like I was supposed to. Just so much. Not loving the Lord like I was supposed to. Not putting the Lord front and center and in front of everything else. I just wasn't doing that. I had never read my Bible all the way through. You know, I'd read a lot of it after my mom passed away, but never read it all the way through. So, I don't know what happened, but I guess about a year ago, you know, I started at work. I started listening to the Bible on an audio Bible, and I told myself I'm going to listen to it all the way through. And I did. I started listening to it all the way. I listened to it all the way through. As of right now, I've listened to it all the way through twice, and I'm working on my third time now. Plus, I study at home, and I also read other books. Plus, I go to church. But anyways, I was still cussing and still not living right, you know, even when I did that. Well, one of my builders that I do jobs for, he'd invited me to his church. And I went one time, and then I didn't go back. And then they was having this thing that they did on Wednesday nights. So they had a book they study, and I went one time then, but it was really hard for me with work because it will run over and all that. So you know, I didn't make it permanent. And I've got dogs and I've got cats, and I'm an animal lover. I mean, I love me some animals. They're like my children. And my cat had kittens. They're all fixed now, all the boys and the girls, so they won't be having any more kittens. But one of them was the little runt, and you know, she had some issues, and she was so small and so sweet. And I told my wife, I was like, we're going to keep her because nobody will take care of her and love her like she deserves, except for us. And I was like, I'll take care of her. And I bought me a little satchel to carry her around in. I was buying her special food, locking her in a room with me and letting her eat, try to put some size on her. As soon as I got home from work, that's the first thing I did, went and find that cat and start loving on it and taking care of it. Man, I loved that cat. Her name was Two Toes, and she was just the sweetest little thing. And you know, at this time, I'm listening to the Bible. I'm feeling really close to the Lord, but I'm still cussing, living like hell, you know. But I'm reading my Bible, you know. But I was loving these animals, man, and I went downstairs to my home gym, and I was on the elliptical, and I had headphones in, and I thought the elliptical broke because I felt the bump, and couldn't find out my little baby kitten had crawled in a hole in the back, and it killed her. She died in my arms as I was running to the truck to try to take her to the vet. It destroyed me. It broke my heart. It's still very hard for me to talk about. God, I love that little kitty. I still went to work that day. I don't remember crying when my mom passed, but I bawled my eyes out that day that kitty passed away. Bawled my eyes out. I was covered in sweat. Thought I was going to have a heart attack. But I went to work and everything was dark, and man, it was such a hard time, and it brought back all these feelings of what happened when my mom passed away, and it was just like everything just came in on me. And I went and I found some pills, and I did them and to try to make it feeling better, try to make the pain go away. And it didn't. And I wanted to get more, but my wife was like, Mike, no. That's not going to help. It's just going to make it work. And I was so mad at her. But she was right, and I'm so glad she stood up and told me no. For 2 weeks, I probably cried 4, 5, 6 times a day over that cat. I think I lost like 8 pounds over that 2-week period. Mentally, I was tore up. I couldn't sleep. I remember I didn't smile or laugh for like 2 weeks. It took 2 weeks before I could get back to feeling some kind of normal from that. My stepson, he wrote me a note telling me that it wasn't my fault, and everybody knew it wasn't my fault, and that she didn't feel anything after the initial contact, and that she went into shock, and everybody was trying to make me feel better, but nothing did. When something like that happens, nothing makes you feel better. And for some reason, it brought back everything of my mother. So I turned to the Lord and asked Him to help me with all my grief. Just to be with me and help me get through this. Because He was the only one that could. And I started talking to the Lord on a regular basis and just begging Him for help. Started going to church every Sunday. I really got saved. I asked the Lord to be with me. I believed in Him and I loved Him, and I knew that money, nothing else in this world mattered, that life is so fragile and life is so short. I started looking for videos online, if animals go to heaven or if pets go to heaven. And I was so scared I'm still scared, but not like I was. I was so scared every day I was going to come home and something else had happened to one of my other pets, or something had happened to my wife or my kids. I was scared to death. But once I asked the Lord for His help and to be with me, and it didn't happen the second I asked Him. I kept asking, and I kept studying my Bible, kept praying. See, when tragedy happens, when you lose something or someone you love and care about, I remember driving down the road when I was going to the hospital to sit with my mom, looking over at the cars passing me by there on New Circle Road there in Lexington, and being like, man, I would trade with them. I would take all their bills, everything, if I could just have my mom back. If I could just go back to her not being sick. You know, I knew I would give up any money, any material thing, anything I had to have my mom be healthy. I was so angry when that happened with that cat. I'd be walking through the shop and I would just kick the floor or kick something because I was so mad and so angry that poor little cat got its life taken so soon. And I would have gave up my shop, my business, every dollar I had if I could just have that cat back. If I could just, and you start thinking, well, if I did this different, if I did this different, well, if I hadn't worked out down there that day, or if I hadn't got on the elliptical, took the elliptical and I throwed it away. I had another elliptical down there, took it out, throwed it away. Said no more mechanical items in the house that can hurt anything. But eventually, the Lord answered my prayers, and He sent the Holy Spirit down here to be with me and to comfort me. After about 2 weeks, my grief started to ease up. Like I said, my whole life up until now, I've cussed. I cuss like a sailor. I even hear myself. I would be like, man, you cuss a lot, Mike. And I would catch myself talking to people, and I'd be like, I'm sorry, that's just how I talk. You know, I've always been in the construction granite countertop business, and that's what you do. I had a bad day yesterday and today, and I slipped up, and I said 2 cuss words. And I caught myself when I said it, and I felt bad, and I've asked for forgiveness for them. But ever since I started going to church and the Lord blessed me and helped me with my grief, I haven't cussed at all. You know, I haven't taken the Lord's name in vain. You know, when I get upset about something, I don't say God or I don't say Jesus. I sound silly sometimes. I'm like, gosh, or goodness. And it's weird how that changed so suddenly. But the main thing that changed, you know, all this time I've been battling addiction, and once an addict, always an addict, and everyday battle and all that stuff. After the Lord blessed me, after I really and truly accepted the Lord and got saved, I've not once craved or wanted any dope at all. Don't care for it. I'll never do anything else. Just don't want it. And anybody that's ever struggled with addiction, you know, that doesn't just happen. That is 100% the Lord, the Holy Spirit, being with me, being in me, and taking that addiction away from me. The cussing, that's the Lord. The Lord took that foul mouth away from me. Anger is something I struggle with, and people in this world will push you. And we have every right to defend ourselves and to stand up for ourselves. But we don't have to be angry while doing it. Jesse Lee Peterson, you know, although he's controversial and I don't agree with everything he says, he argues with these people all the time, but he don't get angry. I want to be like that. I don't want to get angry anymore. Another thing, I used to love horror movies. Used to love them. I mean, I'd watched every horror movie made. You think I'm lying, but I'm not. I had one of those illegal TV boxes where you could watch any movie you wanted, man. And I watched every horror movie I could find, even the bad ones. After that happened with the cat, I don't like horror movies anymore. I have no desire to watch them. I don't want to do anything bad to anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody. No humans, no animals. I'll put spiders on a piece of paper towel and take them outside to the grass. If there's a bug crawling through my house, I will get the dustpan and put it on the dustpan and take it outside so that it can live. I'll not kill anything. I want everything to live, and I want to help everything I can. I also want to be more Christ-like, be a good Christian. I also want to help people with their drug addiction, and I want to help people find the Lord. It's amazing the change that has happened to me since I have accepted the Lord. May not seem that drastic to you, but let me tell you, it has been a huge change in my life. And it may be my addictive personality, but let me tell you, I went headstrong all into it. I've bought extra Bibles, Bible cases, highlighters, pens. I've been studying my Bible. I've bought books on deliverance. I probably spend anywhere from 8 to 12 hours a week studying the Word of the Lord, either listening to it on audio, on YouTube, reading my Bible, reading the other books, watching YouTube videos of other pastors. I spend a lot of time trying to learn about the Lord. Because let me tell you, people out here, nobody's going to love you like the Lord does. You can't depend on nobody out here like you can depend on the Lord. And I pray that none of y'all go through tragedies like I have, but they will change you and they will shape you. My pastor today was talking about spiritual scars. Let me tell you, I look like Frankenstein on the inside. I've been beat to death. But I'm so happy that I am lucky enough to be one of the people that found the Lord, knows the Lord, has felt the power of the Lord inside of them, and saw the changes that the power of the Lord can make in somebody. And that I know I'm going to go to heaven to be with the Lord, and to be with my mother, and to be with my pets that I've lost. And, one little kitten. And Lord knows I wish I still had her, and I wish it didn't happen. But sometimes you got to look at the silver lining, and I really believe that kitten sent me to the Lord and saved my soul. Maybe even saved my life. And now I've found a good church that I love. Got a great young pastor. He's in his mid-30s. His name's Chris Kirby. He is just on fire for the Lord. He's awesome to listen to. He gets excited in the church. The congregation's now getting excited in church. And I'm real shy. That's why I ain't gave my testimony in front of everybody yet. Although one day I'd like to be able to speak to people at church and to guide people. But I need a little more education of the Bible. But, man, the Lord has really made a difference in my life. I got into it with a customer at work the other day. Like I said, some people will just push you. And, this guy, he got the cheapest piece he could get and got a pickup. And because I told him he didn't have the best way to transport it, man, he got upset. And he got in my face, put him out of the shop. He tried to push my wife down with the door. And I got angry. I got real angry, and I felt so bad about how angry I got. I came home and I prayed, and I just felt so bad about it. Everything I do that I know is against what the Lord wants us to do, now I feel bad on the inside about it, and I know it's not right, and I pray about it, and I ask for forgiveness, and I got to keep telling myself that we're in the flesh, and the flesh is, the flesh is going to sin. we just got to keep trying to do our best and ask the Lord to help us. But man, that's my testimony. I am drug free. I live for the Lord now, and like I said, when I graduated, all I wanted to do was be able to make enough money to take care of my parents, and my dad's still alive. Thank the Lord. He lives down with my sister in Kentucky, and they both do well. But now that the Lord has blessed me like He has, my goal is to live long enough to learn as much as I can about the Lord and pass that information on to other people and help save as many souls as I can. I want to be the best person that I can be, and I want to help take care of all the animals that I can. I pray that one day the Lord blesses me with enough money to buy me a house with enough land. I don't care how big the house is. It can be a little shack for all I care. I just want enough land away from any road so that, I can take in any animal that needs my help and help it. I want to help my family. I want to help all the animals I can. And I want to spread the Lord's word. And I don't no longer want to hurt anybody or hurt anything. I just want to help everybody and everything I can now. Because the truth of the matter is, that's all that matters. Love and the things you care about and the Lord. All this money, material, nice clothes. I mean, yeah, it's nice. Everybody likes to look nice. As long as I got a roof over me and my family and my pet's head, we got vehicles that start up every day and get us to where we're going safely. Man, other than that, all I want is the love of my family, the love of my pets, and the love of my Lord. And all my brothers and sisters in Christ. And to be able to bring as many people as I can to be in our family. That's my testimony, guys. See, it's like 37, 38 minutes long, and I know the church didn't want to sit there and listen to all of this, but I really appreciate you watching and listening, guys. I know there ain't many of you subscribed on here, but whether you're subscribed or not, I appreciate you listening. I hope that, maybe some of y'all are feeling the way that I felt, and maybe some of y'all get blessed by the Lord also. Thanks, guys.